Okay, hold on. We
But
got a
yeah,
we got a guest here.
oh,
We got somebody.
Yeah. All right. Joining Albie, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to help me out. Is it Trek Exploration?
Trek Exploration co-host Christopher D. Philippus. Back to
Yes.
the Future 2 was actually made for him, but he knows a lot about Back to the Future Part 1.
Hello, Chris.
You're
How you
on
doing,
with
sir?
you're on with Peter.
Hi,
We're
Peter. I didn't
we're
realize what was going on here. Albie just sent me a link.
we're talking about the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future, and you know a little bit
Um,
about Back to the Future, right?
a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
So,
I only have
we
I
were
only have
we
my
were
own
talking about.
cosplay.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I think we have a delay. I have a little bit of cosplay. That's about it.
We
Yeah,
were
we
talking about the musical.
currently,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. I've
we've
only
been.
seen it three times.
oh
That's it.
my.
That's it. You couldn't fit in a fourth, huh? Just ran out
They
of time.
closed. They closed. I didn't have a chance.
So if you can share, your experience, Mikey and I, Mikey, my buddy there, who's also on the call here, we went on opening night in New York. If you can, and then we got a picture with Bob Gale. Alan Silvestri was also present. If you can share your experiences and some of the changes that they made to the musical, because you just it wouldn't translate from film. So some of those changes that you enjoyed. We talked about the musical number where George is bird watching, and then it ends with him falling on top of Marty. And then instead of the skateboard chase scene in Hill Valley Square, it's the lunchroom chase scene.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah. If you want to prompt me on those, I'll be happy to speak to them. And then if I think of any others, here's the thing. How is my audio? If you really want me to do this,
It sounds
Oh
great.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. So it
okay.
sounds
Because
fine to me. We're
I'm
already going. So
literally I'm sitting in
Your
my backyard just talking at my phone.
oh, your
I
little
got
okay.
no
portrait.
headphones in. I got no nothing going on.
Oh yeah, I definitely don't have the touches of editing like you guys. So like I'm super laid back and totally cool with the portrait look. Totally fine. You're comfortable. That's all that's important,
You want
really.
me to? Is that
There
better?
you go.
Yeah,
That's
that works.
better.
Yeah.
It's harder to hold the phone up this high. All right. Well, it's nice to see you, Peter. I haven't talked to you in quite a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, I was following, like your guys's Quantum Leap reboot coverage, and obviously, it was a sad day in the fandom when it was announced that they would not be coming back for season two. Um, or did they do season two, didn't come back for the back half? I kind of forget now.
Yeah.
No, they did. They did season two, and they also got a proper ending. So it was sad that they canceled them, but they gave them enough notice to wrap it
Okay.
up the way they wanted to.
I never
Yeah.
watched season two.
Yeah. So yeah,
Which
it
is
was
actually season two was the better of the two seasons.
Oh
I
wow.
agree. I
Should
thought it was
watch actually.
great. Albie was I believe you were part of it as well, but Albie was hosting that extravaganza stream of people just jumping in and out, and I was actually
Oh,
traveling at the time, and I was able to jump in when one of the writers was speaking. I forget his name, the gentleman with the
I think
glasses.
the co-executive producer, I think, was on there with you.
Might have
Yeah.
been
Yeah, we
Dean.
it was Drew.
Oh, Drew.
That sounds right.
We
Yeah.
did a 16-hour watch along marathon or something.
Yeah, even
That's
I didn't
crazy.
participate in that one.
No, a lot of people went to bed. Peter was flying around.
They would keep tabs on me like Taylor Swift. I believe that was the joke.
Yeah, like he would call in from airport to airport.
If you
So
guys are
Oh,
just
still
to
on, I
give
have
you guys
thoughts.
some context, I'm in my backyard. I'm barbecuing,
Oh
and
wow.
I was just reading a book and listening to the. Whoop! Can you can you see me?
Yep,
Yeah, I
yep, yep.
dropped my
You're
phone.
still there.
Yeah, I was listening
So
to the Mets versus the Yankees Subway Series, and now I'm making a hamburger. So it's going to
oh,
be
well, there you
action
go.
packed.
And now you're gracing us with your presence. So a little inside baseball. I know it was like extremely last second, but I tried reaching out to Jeffrey Weissman, George McFly from two and three, and it was short notice. He did reply while we were recording, and it was like, maybe like 1 or 2 days notice, and yeah, maybe we can do this another time. And I'm like, well, we still got to be going on for like maybe another hour. You want to jump in? So I don't expect him to, but hey, he's saying that he's willing to come back on. So maybe we could do a part two to this episode.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
have
just
one
send a
person.
Zoom link to random people. That's what I do.
There you go. Send it to Leah Thompson. See what happens.
Yeah.
Do you have stories with meeting any of the cast members? That's something that we started off with.
I wish. I don't. I feel like you
I
surpassed me in that. Albie, how about you?
memories are a weird thing. We were talking earlier about wouldn't George and or wouldn't George remember Marty?
Lorraine? Yeah.
Lorraine remember Marty from high school. But I just remembered while you were talking that I did meet Thomas F. Wilson, and I totally forgot about it.
Oh,
I met
Oh,
him at Denver Comic Con. So memories are weird, yeah.
they really are. Well, Albie, please share us since you just
Oh, I was
remembered.
I was called out last minute by Juan for thinking outside the long box. Their host that they had dropped out. And so I was just like, he was like, can you be here in 2 days and just interview everybody I put you in front of? I was like, yes, because that's what I do. So I went to Denver Comic Con and I actually saw Christopher Lloyd, but I didn't meet him that time. I didn't meet him till Vegas, but I met Thomas F. Wilson, shook his hand. He was a cool guy.
So now you've met two.
Yeah, I met two, but not Leah Thompson yet. That's the one I really want to meet. But Peter met him and Justin met him. Justin's invisible right now, but Justin met him. Met
He did give us a
Leah
send
Thompson.
off, but I don't know if he wanted me to close out his box. I'm gonna close out his box because he did say bye, so I will uh remove
We
his
are
screen.
pre-recording here, or are we live?
We're recording, so not live.
Okay, so you can fix it in
But
post.
so I'm on. So,
Oh wait, hold
so
on
we're
a
not
sec
waiting
here.
for the show. I just joined in media res.
oh,
Well,
It's George.
gentlemen,
George
we
McFly.
actually have Jeffrey Weissman here joining
Hey,
us. So
Very nice.
it ended up working out here. We'll just
that's awesome.
wait a few moments. So for those that will be, I mean, it's not live, but those are tuning in and are listening to the audio part of this podcast. Jeffrey Weissman has decided to join us for a few minutes. Jeffrey, how you doing, sir?
Yes, I decided. Hold on,
Yes, you.
getting set up
Well,
here.
yeah. No worries. Well, I mean, first of all,
Happy 4th of
thank you,
July.
for such short notice.
Yeah.
There you are. Look at you.
It's George.
I
George McFly.
I have been enjoying seeing some of your content on social media. One of which I don't remember what the event was, but you were telling um help me out with Principal Strickland again, James Token
James Tolkien.
Hogan. Yes, you were speaking to him, and you told him to watch out for this guy, and then a gentleman came by in a wheelchair and says, "Hey, Strickland!" And it was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, let's see. I think I posted it on my Instagram. We're in Dallas for was it Dallas? Or I've done a handful of these 40-year anniversary trilogy reunions. And this gentleman in his wheelchair, a large guy, he went by James once and did the scene from the alternate 85. Hey, Strickland, eat lead, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And James, it went over his head. He missed it completely. It wasn't so I told the guy, I said, come here. Let me shoot this with my iPhone and I'll get James' attention to make sure, because James can't hear anymore. He just turned 94. Anyway,
Wow.
So at the beginning of the clip, you see me saying, "Hey James, watch out for it's a really rough neighborhood," or whatever. He goes, "What?" And I go, "That guy's after you. Look out!" And then he sees the guy doing his number again. And I catch it luckily on my iPhone camera, and then James gets it. And he's laughing at the end. So yeah, look for that on my Instagram. Gosh, did I put it as a story? It might be up as a post, so it should still be there. If not, tell me and I'll post it, because I've got it in my phone still.
Oh yeah, I absolutely will. Because this wasn't planned, and you are joining us. How much do we have with you? So I make sure to not go over if you have plans.
Who, me?
Yes. How,
Oh,
how long do you have, so that way I can make sure to get you off before wherever you need to be.
I can stay for a visit, 10, 15 minutes if you like.
Okay.
Let's
Yes.
see if I have
Yeah.
that video. it may be too hard for me to find it in my pictures on my computer, but if you give me a minute, I'll tell you
Okay.
what.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that
give me a
should be
minute. I'll go away for
plenty
a
of time
second.
for. I'll give everyone to kind of take a moment to think of a question you guys would like to ask him. Um, I think while he's looking for the footage, I would love to hear stories are reuniting with some of the cast members for some of these really big events to celebrate the 40th anniversary. Kind of what that's been like to see everybody all over again.
I have one very basic question. What was it like, and were you actually shooting most of your scenes for part two upside down?
Well, I shot the better part of I got about 6 days out of 2 weeks. I was hung upside down.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
So there's Dallas.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about that and how that was, practical versus all of the special effects that they were pioneering for that film. Like they created an entirely new kind of camera, if I recall from other documentaries I've seen, to get those shots with, Michael as multiple roles and you and Leah having to interact with people who weren't there. I mean, Michael has 3 roles in the scene that you're in,
Yeah.
and it's you and Leah reacting to what? It must have been weird.
Well, I'm going to pull up some photos. So give me just a sec to pull up some stuff to
Sure.
share with you guys, and make sure that I can share screen. Let's see where that camera shot. The camera actually worked before us, before on Back to the Future 2 once, on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. To
Okay.
so he could mix live action with the animation. And where is that VistaVision?
That's right, because he was filming both of those simultaneously, and I believe
There we go.
in an interview, Bob Zemeckis mentioned that he wished that he had put more time into Back to the Future 2, and that could have been the difference in the final product.
I don't think it could have been better, could it?
I think it's great, but
if you know where
go
to
ahead, Chris.
look, you can see where the special effects scenes are showing, especially in Biff's car when there's no rearview mirror, because I guess they couldn't reconcile the split screen and having a rearview mirror in on the windshield. It was like somehow mounted on the dash.
I asked Zemeckis, I said, because I was a huge fan of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And I said, are you going to do a sequel? And he said, nah, I don't think so. I said, why? Because it's so complicated shooting live actors with animation. He goes, no, I've got more complicated shots on this film than I ever had on Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Wow.
I'm not going to say the rest of what his quote was because I'm sure he wouldn't approve. But so I'm sharing here now. If you can see.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
This is from that shot. So in playing Marty Jr. there, that's Kevin Holloway. That's Mike's photo double.
Not double, right? Yeah.
And then Bobby Bennett, Mike's stand-in, and then Mike being made up as Marlene.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I'm being cinched in for an effect that didn't make the final cut. I'm put into the body cast, and out of the back of the body cast is a pipe that I hooked up to that went through the set that had a wheel on the other end, and I would be spun upside down after I got my costume on over the body cast. So what's cut, if you guys have seen the bonus material deleted scene Pizza, that's the name of it, Pizza, Lorraine says, George, rotate your axis for dinner. It's bad for your digestion to eat upside down. And so I do my best Crispin tribute and go, okay. The old joking laugh. And kind of, made sense that it shouldn't stay in the film because you see her serve the pizza on the floor, and then she has me spin for dinner, and there wasn't really room for me to sit at the table because as you can see, you see this track that's on the floor.
Yeah.
For the first time, I think on this film, a tracking system developed by a gentleman named Tondro, and it was called the Tondro system, and it was a computer program controlled the movement of the camera up and down the track. So there's perhaps a slow zoom while you see Marty Jr. complaining about having to, oh no, Marlene complaining about having to pass the iced tea to Marty Jr. If you remember, that's, you know, something how that scene went. And it literally took us, oh boy, probably 4 days just to get this scene.
Wow.
And
That's something.
and part of the challenge was, of course, Mike had to change costume and makeup every time we got one take. And then if it was Marlene, she'd have to change into Marty Jr. That would take 2 hours. We'd get coverage while while we were you know, waiting for the changes, whether Michael was getting into Marty Jr., Marty Sr., or Marlene. And let's see if I can get this one again. This shot I'm sharing now. Oh, it's not sharing yet. Just a second.
Well, while you're doing that, I don't remember where I heard it or read it, but Michael did not want when he would be dressed as Marlene, there would be less crew people on set just to kind of, you know, so he can kind of be in character and not have to break if other people are laughing or something. Or does that
Yeah,
sound right?
I don't remember a lot of that happening, but it may have. Mike was pretty modest. Is this picture showing up where I'm eating a banana upside down?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this was cut too. You remember fruit, please? And
Yeah.
Yes.
Fruit.
we were just messing around, getting different coverage, and Lorraine says to Marlene, "Give your granddad a piece of fruit." And so I improvised, you know, trying to eat the banana upside down, and the peel kept slapping me on the face. And it was Zemeckis thought it was very funny, but that didn't stay in. And as I said, it was very long hours that week in particular. We had Mike, of course, only night times and weekends, mostly because he's shooting the last season of Family Ties during the day. But when we did have him, if we had him for a few days in a row, example, during this scene, the hours were incredibly long. I remember on this week in particular, my paycheck or time card rather had a 19-hour, a 21-hour, and a 26-hour long day. And
Wow.
most of those days, I was hanging upside down. And they didn't like getting me down because it took a long time. Oh boy. Zemeckis came to Dan Elliott, my handler from ILM, and said, "Is there any way we can keep from having to get him down in between every take?" And so Dan developed this. I don't know if you can see it on your screen here.
Wow.
He's on the top of a ladder. He put a board with a cushion, thank goodness. And at the end of a take, he'd slide this contraption under me after saying, "Jeffrey, do a sit-up." And I'd do a sit-up, and he'd slide it under me. And he goes, "You okay, buddy?" "Yeah, I'm okay." I'd lie back, and then everyone would leave the set and go have a coffee while I'm on the set all alone, twiddling my thumbs. You know, and I gotta, you know, take this opportunity for you and those watching at home. All, what did you say, 5 of them? George was hung upside down not to disguise that it was a different actor.
Wow.
There's no truth in that urban legend. The Bobs had trouble with Crispin on the first film hitting his marks. He would never, for those of you who don't know, in movies and television, we have marks that we have to hit for our blocking, for where we're walking to or leaving from, or etc., and to keep in framing and focus for the camera. And poor Dean Cundy had a hard time keeping Crispin in frame because he's such an intense actor. He would over or under his marks for camera and focus. So the Bobs decided, well, if we put George in the future in some sort of contraption that hangs him upside down, say his back went out, then we can control him. And that's what they did. They built this track from outside the front door all the way through the living room into the kitchen that held the Ortholev hung from. And they came up with the idea that George's back went out while golfing. A car fell out of the sky and came near him. And in one version, I had my script paradox, because I came in the 12th hour. They were hoping to work something out with Crispin, of course, to the very last minute. And so I think I have probably one of the most complete scripts and all the rewrites, because I was given everything. My script is about this thick of paradox. 2 and 3 were one film originally, and then all the rewrites is another stack about this thick, and all multiple colors of all the different rewrites of all the scenes. And in one version, George's back went out while he was playing squash. In one version, I think they had Mike in the Ortholev, Marty. Anyway, so as you can see, it was very challenging because I had to be hung upside down all through those shoots. And they also didn't know me as an actor. I came on and Zemeckis started giving all my George's lines to Leah and Mike. And I was like, hey, you guys, I can act.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got some of my lines back and I improvised other lines. Example, when I'm at the front door and George says, how's Granddad's little pumpkin? That's a line I improvised because during the rehearsal, Mike, as Marlene, answers the door, and while we're blocking it, I was amused that they put her in orange hot pants and kind of stuffed them to give her a little butt, and I thought it looked like a pumpkin. So how's Granddad's little pumpkin came out of that.
Wow, perfect.
It does not translate, I've learned, to other languages. I did an event a couple years ago in Italy, and I explained this, improvising and coming up with that line, and everyone's shaking their head. No, that's not what you said. I was like, what? No, they said it translated, how's Granddad's little pigeon or little dove or something. Little bird. I was like, no, kill the joke. And anything in Spanish, and yeah, it's oh well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember when you were first able to change the audio tracks with the DVDs, and I took, some French in high school, not enough to like really translate the entire film, but it was interesting to kind of see like the differences in the language. And I know, he's not Calvin Klein in other languages. He might be a Pierre Cardin, something like that. So that's very interesting. Do you have other stories like that where you were in a different country where they're like, oh no, that dialogue is different?
Well, I have this amazing following because of the films. I'm trying to find something else that would help illustrate this. There's a huge fan base in God, almost every country, from Poland to Japan, Australia, and Holland, France. During the pandemic, I got to know a lot of these fans. Let me see if I can, in particular, this. Here we go. I found it. Yay.
It's almost as if Back to the Future is universally beloved.
I think it is. It's a cultural phenomenon.
I pinch myself because I'm lucky to have this. It's something, as a kid, I always wanted to be in movies, and I got pretty far. I co-starred in Twilight Zone movie with John Lithgow in the episode with Nightmare at 30,000 Feet,
mm-hmm.
and scenes with Michael Keaton in Johnny Dangerously, and with Sean Penn in Crackers, and then with Clint Eastwood on Pale Rider, I had a nice co-star role, and then shortly thereafter, I kind of lost my good agent, and I fell into the Back to the Future thing. So this during the pandemic, we'd have Zoom calls with fans from Argentina or France or where, and here, and generally these groups are also fundraising groups for Mike's charity and Team Fox under the banner of Team Fox. And so this is the Japanese group. The only one who's not Japanese is Mitch down here, your friend in time. He's from France, and he kind of put this together. He's a fundraiser hero,
Wow.
just like the Oliver and Terry Holler are for Mike's charity. And if
Yeah.
you look, every single one of these Japanese fans of Back to the Future are dressed as one of the characters.
That's amazing.
Oh. So there was somebody actually in a radiation suit as Darth
Yes.
Vader.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vader.
So that's just not a picture. They were actually dressed. That's amazing.
That's
It
crazy.
really has been lovely to be kind of embraced, almost even more so outside of the United States. In the U.S., there's this huge contingent of Crispin diehard fans who vilify me, who think I'm the creep, the scab who took his role. And I'm like,
No.
you guys, I was friends with Crispin. I called him when I was up for the role and said, say a good word. I wasn't up for the role yet. I was up for being his photo double. And I said, say a good word, Crispin, and I could use the work. And he didn't call me back, and I ended up getting the role. And when part 3 came out, he called me and said, they didn't pay me for use of my life mask and your makeups, and they didn't. They were going to pay me scale times 2 or 3 for reuse of those close-ups that they matched with your work in part 2 of my work from part 1. I said, well, that's immoral that they would, first of all, not have an agreement for using your life mask. And then secondly, the highest grossing film of 1985 is going to pay you, what was scale? It was probably $1,200. They're going to pay you $3,000 for reuse of your footage from part 1. So as you can see from the profile, it is definitely makeup based on his life mask because it looks just like Crispin.
Mhm.
And this was the first stuff we shot because they had it all ready to go in pre-production. The Enchantment Under the Sea dance with.
I always assumed that they used outtakes and a mix of stuff that they had in the first film for the stuff that crossed over.
Yeah,
so you're saying so they reshot the dance and everything to get specific things that they needed for 2 as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We reshot pretty much everything that you see, except those 2 close-ups of Crispin, one by the punch bowl, and I think one. I think they're just two quick shots of George from the first film, and the rest is me.
Wow.
Oh,
Jeffrey,
guys, here, I got something that will knock you out.
Okay. I was going to
With
say,
that-
if you still have a little
Why
bit
don't
of time, I'd like for Albie and Mikey to ask a question as well. If you
With
guys have
that
anything.
makeup on of Crispin, what was it like looking in the mirror, seeing your friend and not yourself? And
Oh, it was odd. I mean, and everyone thought it was odd. There was no hesitation. The first time I walked on that set, the first person I ran into was Mike, and Mike looked at me and he said, "Oh, Crispin ain't gonna like this." And I was like, "What have I got myself into? What is this shit?"
Amazing.
So I have this video of doing that scene in particular that I'm not finding for some reason. It's not coming up for me in my searching. Let me try one more time here. Makeup. So I was hanging out with Billy Zane. I remember during the shooting of the Enchantment Under the Sea dance in his trailer when we weren't needed, and the fight scene with Biff, and Billy kind of laughed and said, I think Leah was in love with Crispin. I was like, well, really? And it kind of made sense, because for a while Leah wouldn't give me the time of day, and we're very good friends now, but while we were shooting, even when she was in the next chair next to me being made up for 4 hours at a time, it was rare that she ever addressed me. And I think because they had such a bond, I was given all their screen tests, all their makeup tests, their improvisations. I have probably, I don't know, maybe an hour plus of all this stuff with Leah and Crispin and Tom and Crispin. In fact, one of them, you see Tom come up with the line, "What's that, McFly, an Irish bug," or whatever. Some fun improvisations. And they had months before going into production with Eric Stoltz, and then they had another 7 weeks in production with Eric Stoltz. So they were together, for 4 months or so. And Crispin's a very nice guy and a very compelling actor. So I can imagine that, she was probably very fond of him. And Billy's hypothesis may have some weight, but of course, it's all history. So as you mentioned, we do these reunions from time to time. And the first one was in 2008. And
wow.
We had about 20 plus of the cast and crew at the Hollywood show when it was the previous owners. And Mike wasn't scheduled to be there. He showed up unannounced on Sunday because he was in Los Angeles promoting his new book. And as soon as Mike arrived, the 6 of us there, James, Claudia, Chris, Leah, Francis, and Mark and I, the 7 of us, had some time alone with Mike. And I think it was the first time any of us had seen the ravages of Parkinson's on Mike. And every once in a while, we'd be talking about just shooting the shit. And all of a sudden, Mike would go up on his toes and be compelled to walk away because of the pain. And you could see every one of us in their eyes, this horrible realization that this was the way things were for Mike. And it was heartbreaking because everyone loves Mike. He's really what you get. What you see is what you get. He's a great guy with a great sense of humor and very beloved. And I just that from time to time when I get to see him, he's very open and friendly with me. When in New Orleans, we did the reunion in January, and he was just coming off his panel, and I had to congratulate him on getting the Medal of Freedom from President Biden. And Mike reached out and grabbed me from his wheelchair, because he's basically getting everywhere in a wheelchair now for fear, because he's broken every bone in his body from falling. But he grabbed me and he says, "I feel like a kid. I feel like a teenager again. I want to go out in the parking lot and drink a beer and dance." It's like, go Mike.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy, and has raised over $2 billion for fighting a cure for Parkinson's. So it's pretty cool. And I'm hoping, because in Canada, in Calgary, we had both Elizabeth Shue and Claudia Wells. It was the first time ever Elizabeth Shue did a Back to the Future connected event at all. And if they could have, both Jennifers, why can't they have both Georges? That's what I say.
That's a really great question. I mean, do we have any idea? Like, I feel are people not reaching out to Crispin to see if he would make an appearance? I feel like he would.
It probably, I think it's going to be up to Bob Gale. I really do. I think it's going to be up to Bob to actually, kind of offer Crispin a laurel. And also it'd be up to Crispin to offer Bob Gale a laurel. They need to end their feud. It's Hatfield and McCoy's,
Yeah.
And it would be really great to do it for Mike's charity. that everyone would finally come together. It may not happen till the 50th anniversary. I don't know.
Is that rough for everyone to kind of be in the middle of the, mom and dad fighting kind of thing?
Oh, I think so. I know it's been very rough for me in particular because Crispin, as of in recent years, has come out saying that actor who played me, I wouldn't have done it like that. Or, I was like, you could have done it, Crispin. Just come take the 100,000 instead of hold out for $1 million. But anyway,
Yeah.
it is kind of what it is. It's hard because I promote the truth, and I think the producers still want to kind of whitewash things. And what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Mikey, do you have a question?
No, he actually answered what I was going to ask, but I'm just enjoying hearing.
Ask it
Jeffrey
again.
talk about his experience.
I might have a different answer.
No, I was just wondering I was just wondering which scenes were in part 2 were you, or if they used Crispin or not. But I think you answered all that already. So,
Well, once again, I tried my best to, as old George, use Crispin's placement of voice. He has this more head placement of his vocal, his posture. He often, if you look at it, is often leading with his head and his hands.
Dad, the acting coach, Dad would have approved of him just using his hands. Let's see. My mic is doing funky things. Can you still hear me?
We
Yes.
can still hear you. It dropped a
good.
little
I'm
bit,
gonna
but we can still hear you.
Unplug my zebra. As young George, I had to, of course, be exact like what you saw in the first film to make it seamless. Fighting with Biff and having the arm twist just right and the slug and the kiss on the dance floor and all that had to be seamless. So we were often running back to the monitor to watch the first film, to watch the scene of the first film, to recreate it. And those were very long nights out in the parking lot or the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. And then in the future, I wanted to keep a lot of those mannerisms of George, so it would still be seamless, even though I didn't necessarily look so much like Crispin as in the old George makeup. I think they still had aspects of his life mask in there, but also what was so lovely is they gave me this wig, this $1,000 wig that had long hair like I've got now, so I could do the messing with the hair. All right, and try to keep that semblance of George, because I needed, as an actor, to serve the story, to keep that as seamless as possible, to honor the audience, because the audience are no fool. If you're going to throw Shemp in there or Curly, and who was it? If you put Curly Joe instead of Curly in there, or Joe DeRito, people who are fans of Shemp or Curly, they're going to go, well, that's not Shemp. That's not Curly. You see, and it's funny because I'm being called a Shemp. So we worked really hard on it, and it is now one of the top 10 trilogies of all time, survey says, and I'm really honored to be a part of it.
I think it's number one in many of our hearts.
Yes, definitely.
We've kept you much longer than you've been so gracious of your time. If I can just have you end with one thing, and we can send you on your way. But with this year, literally yesterday was the 40th anniversary of Part One's release. If you could think back to what is some of the more, I don't know, the coolest thing you've been present for at one of these events, whether it be back at Universal, seeing some of these scenes recreated with other actors, things of that nature, for those that aren't fortunate enough to make these visits.
I have a great love of the fans and the cosplayers, and have some amazing photographs that I've taken at the events over the years. Let me see if I can do a share here. Give me just a moment because
Sure.
I'm still a Luddite. Can I show it? Yeah, I can show it. Let's see if I can get it to play. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So here's one of the events we did. It's called now it's called Return to Hill Valley. It'll be taking place the third weekend of September, or last weekend of September. Originally, it was called Back to 1885 that Oliver and Terry Holler produced, and Dean Cundey, Marvin, who was in Pale Rider too, McIntyre in this picture. Excuse me. They came out. We have a good potential of other actors coming out. We have Tom Wilson's stunt double coming out this year.
Ah.
And Charlie Cogwell. I sometimes play Doc Brown.
Yeah, that's very meta. Very
that Japanese group. This is a gentleman from Denmark. Denmark, is it Thomas?
Okay.
Thomas from Denmark. He and his wife here, they actually dressed their son up when he was 1 year old to be Old George in his cosplay.
Oh.
That's the only Old George
That's
cosplay
fantastic.
I've ever seen.
Oh,
Here's
amazing.
Natasha and her son Sebastian. They came on the Back to the Future cruise in 2015. Here they are at Back to 1885. They're from Russia.
Wow.
No.
Amazing.
This is the group at the Back to 1885. I think that's Rusty Locke playing Doc. He's really fantastic. He's at Universal. This is the two producers are sitting down front here, Terry and Oliver. The gal with the guitar,
Yep.
Prairie, she was in the movie. She and the gentleman standing behind her with the fiddle, they played with ZZ Top in the movie.
Oh, wow.
It
Fantastic.
was
Yeah.
really great to have them at the event. Once again, it's a fundraiser. So, for a few bucks, you pay to sit in the DeLorean and be pushed by the original, that's the number 3, disguised as the 131 from the film. And that's up at Jamestown's Railtown, 1897. Then we, go to Whittier High School for the events. There was one there just recently raising money for its trophy cabinet. More from the Back to 1885. I was playing Mark Twain for that one. As you can see, I'm
I
growing
love it.
Mark Twain mustache now. Then we're going back. The fundraiser, we took over the town one day of Fillmore, and the original stunt coordinator came out with 2 cranes with hoverboards on wires. So I got
Wow.
the hoverboard, and I had a friend just erase the wires. So you can see I'm hoverboarding, baby.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is true.
That's crazy.
Has Mary Steenburgen, has she been to any of these events?
I have not seen Mary at any of the events. I'm hoping that she does, at least some of the fan reunions. I believe she's done some of the DVD releases
Okay.
in New York. She'll do things, I think, with Zemeckis and the producers if they ask.
Yeah.
Now, so this gal who made my Mark Twain suit, my linen suit when I do older Twain, she said, my friends and I, we dressed up as all of Chris Lloyd's characters last Halloween. So I said, give me a copy of the picture, and I had Chris sign it and send it to her.
That's awesome. That would make a cool rock band. Just the Christopher
Yeah.
Lloyds.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
well,
it.
I feel like
call the band Chris Lloyd.
That's
He's
amazing.
got all his major characters. The only one not there, I think, is from Buckaroo Banzai.
What about Taxi? That's not a show
Taxi,
I
yeah.
watch, but
Yeah,
Reverend
we're
I watched
sticking
it
to
back in
movie.
the day when I didn't understand it. Oh, that's awesome. He's wearing the helmet.
oh, I love that.
Yeah, Ian, the gentleman in that shot with Chris, Ian has fabricated that helmet for the Back to the Future musicals.
Oh, wow.
And he actually fabricated for me my OrthoLev control. Gave it to me as a
Okay.
present. Lovely. Oh no, and he also made the watch. There, you never see it, but George is wearing one of those double-stranded watches, and I have it in my studio. And
Very
at
good.
the We're Going Back
Brooks's
event,
gang.
it was the first time that Jason Scott Lee came to an event there with Darlene and Ricky Dean Logan, the
That's
hoverboard
right, yeah.
gang. And I had friends who dressed as the hoverboard gang at that event.
Wow.
Now, did you guys take this picture right at 10:04 p.m.? It looks like you guys got it just right.
Yeah. So I wear these now for photo ops with, I let the fans wear them. When the film came out, 89, if you bought a large pizza and for another 99 cents or $1.99, you get these glasses that were celebrating the movies.
Wow.
So that's just a brief cosplay collection.
Very
That's
cool.
fantastic. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for sharing.
Sure, if I could get that, if I could find that footage, and have me on again, and I'll be better prepared with.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll figure something out. We'll revisit part two and get more of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I had luckily a friend who was on the making of Back to the Future Part 2 documentary, and I was cut out of it purposely.
Oh,
And so he threw me what he could get of my footage, and so I have it. It's an exclusive.
I would love to see
Ah.
that.
Yeah,
What was that project for? If you don't mind me asking, was that for
Sure.
like the documentary? Was that like a Netflix thing, or what was the footage for?
Probably was it the one that little what's his name hosted, or Leslie Nielsen hosted that one, right? The making of Back to the Future 2, whatever one that was.
Oh, I know there's one with like Kirk Cameron back in the
Kirk
day.
Cameron, yeah, that's it.
Ah, okay.
Ah,
So you
yeah,
actually
Secrets
had a
of the Back
part.
to the Future. Yeah.
That's right,
Yes,
Secrets of the yeah. So you
and
had a part
I
on
was
that
its
was cut.
biggest secret, and so they cut me out.
It's only fair, I suppose.
Well,
Yeah,
they
Jeffrey.
didn't
Yeah.
want the public to realize it was a different actor. They didn't want Crispin to sue, and I was like, "You guys must be joking." It's the biggest, highest grossing film of '85. Its sequel, and luckily, I kept his agreement for giving me a shared title card. So people are going to go, "Well, who's Jeffrey Weissman?" And then find out, oh, it's a different George. And Crispin ain't going to hold back on suing. So he sued John Doe 1 to 100. He was going to name whoever he was suing later on. He was going to do his investigatory steps, and like everyone was deposed. I was deposed for 9 hours, and then again for 8 hours.
Wow.
It was pretty long and drawn out. And when I had when it came out that I gave Crispin photos of me in the makeup and my stories, they settled out of court for $750,000 plus.
Wow.
So he should be happy.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, he was
He's
still
had to
making
make a movie
movies.
of it.
I would love to see him make a return to something leading man. I haven't really kept tabs on him, but like, was it Wilbur, the one with rats? Was that his last kind of
No,
leading role?
he's still
Oh.
working on various cable gods, American gods. He's had a lot of different nice roles on TV series and keeps making his own films. What is it? And sequels that What Is It Now or whatever. And he goes with his films to screenings, and he'll sign Back to the Future items if he's in a good mood.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's good to hear.
I was never mad at the recasting. If anything, I was sad that Crispin didn't want to be part of it.
I was too.
That's how I felt at the time.
That's how I felt.
But-
I loved the first film. In New Orleans, we had this gal go around and interview all the celebs from the Back to the Future movies. Which was your favorite of the trilogy? Chris, Mike, and Tom all said part 3. Leah said part 2. I said part 1 because it really was my favorite. I was when summer of '85, when Pale Rider was coming out, I needed to see what the competition was. So I went and saw Back to the Future, and I was already a fan of Mike Fox and Chris Lloyd from their previous works. And I liked Leah Thompson. I was cast in a film with Leah called All the Right Moves. I was going to play Tom Cruise's character's stoner friend.
Mm.
And the part was written out like a week before we went into shooting. But I was familiar with Leah. And then Crispin came on, and I had just done a film with him a year and a half before at the American Film Institute and exchanged numbers with him. As soon as I got home, I called him to congratulate him. I thought he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Great
disappointed
movies.
he didn't come back, but I'm happy now. You know, I get to have interviews like this.
Yeah, I mean, and thank you so much for jumping in. I know you said, 10, 15 minutes, but holy cow, I think we've had you for over 40 minutes now.
Oh, well, I got to go. Oh, my watch again.
Yes,
appreciated.
please. Yeah,
Thank you
I'll
for
have to
your
get
time.
back with you and we'll figure something out for you to come back on and share more stories. You've been more than generous with your time today.
Well, thanks for the invite, Peter. Give me a couple days notice next time. And
Absolutely.
I'll be more prepared. And nice to meet you, Mikey, Albie, and Chris. I'll see you.
Very nice to meet you.
See you in the
Yes.
future. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome.
Privilege, a privilege.
It's really cool.
Honor. So much a part of my
And-
childhood and my adulthood. That man.
There we go.
Peter, thank you.
Jeffrey has left the building.
How is this my life? Like
Yeah.
sitting in my backyard and I'm talking to George McFly from 2 and 3. It's crazy.
It's who you know, and
No
we know
idea when
Peter.
you woke up. Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
It's good to know Peter. I love
We,
Peter.
we talked about like these connections, we opened up the episode talking about how me and Albie, we go back to the inception of the Quantum Leap podcast, how I wanted to start one, but Albie had already started his. And I'm like, well, this is too good for me. Like, why would I start one when this is it right here? This is the one. And then Mikey, who texted me yesterday, it was basically like, you should do a 40th anniversary episode of Back to the Future and we should talk about it. I'm like, yes, let me get some
Yes.
friends together and we'll figure it out. And then just by happenstance earlier today, I saw that Jeffrey was on Instagram. It showed that he was active. And I'm just like, shit, it's an hour away. He's probably, or an hour until recording. He's probably going to say no or not see it in time. What's it going to hurt? And
Yeah.
I literally shot my shot and I still had his email. So I emailed him the same message. And literally during the recording, he's like, "Oh, looks like I have like 2 minutes left. You guys are about to end it." And I'm like, "Well, no, like we are still here. Like if you want to jump in, please."
Yeah,
And there we go. That's how it all happened.
that was so cool.
Wow. I actually learned more than I knew. And I think I've seen every Back to the Future behind the scenes stuff. So it's great to hear it right from him.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
It's
a-
a
that's a
lot of fun.
great story.
What a way to celebrate this episode by getting somebody from the film. So,
Yeah, I don't
You
know
know,
if you
I-
know it, Peter, but Chris's favorite film of all time is Back to the Future Part 2.
that is amazing.
Yes.
I didn't know about favorite film of all time, but you kind of led with that being his favorite one of the trilogy.
Yes.
So
I think
you're welcome,
it's
Chris.
BTTF2 and 12 Monkeys. So
Okay.
there's
Okay.
a 2, but yeah, I feel like 2 was made for me. Like when I was sitting
Okay.
in the theater watching part 2, I was like, they don't care about anybody else in this theater but me. That's
Yeah.
how much I love part 2.
I don't think
that's-
part 2 gets enough credit for how thrilling the end is. Like
Mm.
a
Are you
lot
kidding?
happens in
I
a matter
still-
of like
I get
2
like
minutes.
every time I see it, I'm like, holy crap.
They
It's
burn the
one of the
almanac.
biggest, one of the best cliffhangers of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Right. He
Yeah.
almost gets struck by lightning. He's driving away. They're talking on the thing, and then Then Doc does get struck. They're talking the walkie-talkie. Doc does get struck on lightning, and then you're like, "Oh my god!" Like he's gone. What now? Like what?
Well, I mean, I'm getting chills, literal chills, just thinking about this, that sequence. But yes to all of that. But literally, what we see from Back to the Future Part One, he's doing his celebratory dance after
Mhm.
Marty has returned to the future, and then the angle, just that cut of Marty McFly Prime coming that corner. No, I'm back from the future. Just like what?
Yes. And like I said earlier, I actually watched part 3 before I watched part 2. So I mean, I knew it, but I couldn't imagine, seeing that and be like, "Oh my god, like what's going to happen now?" So, although I guess they showed a preview right after that.
Yeah, there was a preview of
movie.
Part 3
Yeah,
in the
they did.
theater right
Yep.
after Part 2 ended.
To be concluded is what
Yes.
it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
Correct.
I was excited and sad at the same time. I'm like, don't end it.
That's when I was what 8 8 years old asking what concluded means, and it's like usually the end of like a trilogy or franchise or whatever. I'm like, that's it, one last one, and like I genuinely like westerns, and so yeah, when you kind of get that aerial shot of like a very young Hill Valley and the clock tower hasn't even been built yet, I'm just like, oh my God, like I am ready, and to see Doc and Marty wearing like those western outfits too,
It's
so
my favorite western.
So going
I think I would say so too. Yeah.
going back to the end
I
of
have
part
one
two real
other
quick.
favorite Western, but
Sorry.
anyway. I'm sorry. I'm
Uh,
sorry, Mikey. You first.
No, I interrupt sometimes. I was just gonna say, going back to part two, what scared me too as a little kid was the guy from Western Union coming up, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy pulling up? And then he's like, I've got something for you. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
you know,
So
you don't know
good.
what's gonna happen. So you're gonna shoot Marty? What is this? So
Yeah. And I think Western Union's still around too.
it is, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can still get money orders from them and stuff.
I
Yeah,
So
don't know that
and
you can leave a
they
letter
reuse
for 80
that
years.
now. Now it's a trope in time travel TV and movies. I think they reused it in Timeless, and I think they reused it in Quantum Leap 2022.
Yeah, I
I
feel
love
like
Timeless. Sorry.
like mail drop. Mail drop is now a
Mhm.
time travel trope because it's so
Yeah.
convenient if you think
Mhm.
about it. They even tried to explain it in Quantum Leap before Al drops it into the mailbox, just because the mundanes are watching. So how does this work? My
Yep.
daddy's lawyer will hold on to it, whatever. Joe Flaherty in that was
Mm.
I didn't find it threatening because it's Joe Flaherty. I grew up in the 80s
Yeah.
watching like SCTV.
SCTV, yeah.
So I knew he was like a comedian. So to me, when I see Joe Flaherty, I think laughs, LAFFS. So it was funny to see him in that role and just the way that they used him and used the time travel. And that's why I love too. It's all about the time travel.
Mhm.
Like it was
Yes.
made for nerds.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely is. It's chock full of all the Easter eggs. It's just I literally feel the way I felt after interviewing him the first time a few years back. I'm just like, I interviewed somebody from Back to the Future, like like the franchise. It's so surreal, you know. But he is a great follow for like a lot of when he goes to these events, he gets some good stuff.
Was Biff from 1985, was it indeed modeled after Donald Trump, or is that just now that we see Donald Trump presently, we decided that was the case? Or
Isn't that what they say though? They say
Yeah,
that's
I think I heard that in special features before
okay, I wasn't
the
sure.
current time.
Okay,
I think I've heard that somewhere.
okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, bad hair and entitlement. Yeah, I mean it tracks.
Sounds about right.
And a little bit of time travel, apparently. Sam Beckett tried to fix the situation, but it didn't work. I guess Stephen Colbert wasn't as good as Al Calavici.
that was a good appearance that they made. Chris, I believe we spoke on this before you popped up. Um, if we were to get something, right? Like, let's kind of forget about how the two Bobs says over our dead bodies, right? Given that we got the story from the Telltale games and whatever else you can pull from the comic books or whatever, if we can get not a reboot but a continuation,
I'm
who
shutting
would you like
down.
to
My phone
follow?
is running out of juice.
Ah,
Oh
how
no.
is it? Is it we did lose
He's fading
visuals.
away. Someone must
He
be
is
dating his mother in the past.
just like his favorite movie where he's
Yep.
fading just like well I guess it happened in the first one too, but yeah, they did redo it. Chris, if you're still able to hear us, who would you like the next installment to follow?
Well, I
We
lost
do
him.
not have audio either, sounds like.
Well, thank you for having my friend on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy that Jeffrey was still able to pop in while Chris is also still on here,
That
for
was
favorite movie of all time.
amazing.
Yeah,
That was
I can't
cool.
wait to tell
imagine
my
that.
daughter next time I see her tomorrow.
Yeah,
Get her back tomorrow. I'm
there
going
you
to be
go.
like, guess who I just talked to?
Yeah. I'm gonna figure out if I want to split this up into 2 episodes or just leave it on one. Logistics. I'll figure it out.
Mhm.
Well, Chris has dropped off, so I think that's probably a good sign for us to end this as well because we went way longer than I had anticipated. Um, and I don't want to keep you guys from anything else. More Back to the Future watching and binging, perhaps. Maybe go on to Jeffrey Weissman's excuse me, Instagram account. Start looking through some stuff and give him a follow, reach out, and tell him that you guys just spoke with him and remind him anything that he said he was going to share that's maybe not on his Instagram account. So, Albie, if we can start off with you, with for Justin, if you guys are still tuning in from Justin's first half of this gigantic episode. He's part of the Epic Film Guys, so check him out there. Also on X, he's found on Epic Film Guys. And he also runs the Burton Batcave Instagram account. So if you like Tim Burton's Batmans, he's a great
Love it.
follow there as well. Albie, where people can find you. We talked a little bit about the Quantum Leap podcast. If you can
Yeah,
give
well,
us any sort of kind of
sure.
updates, what's been going on with that? I know that
We
it
have
was not a great.
a new mini series thing coming up for the Quantum Leap podcast and the Quantum Leap podcast after show. We're kind of branching out because we've been over Quantum Leap many, many, many times. So we're trying to think of maybe talking about spiritual successors to Quantum Leap, and we have two in mind. So we're gonna maybe talk about those things coming up, but just like if you like Back to the Future and you watched all the bonus features, if you like Quantum Leap and you love bonus features, they don't have any really. So we are the bonus features. We've interviewed everybody from the classic series that was still alive and still remembered anything about Quantum Leap. And when it comes to the new series, Quantum Leap 2022, we just had everybody on all the time, writers, producers, actors, showrunners, just everybody. So like there's on those Blu-rays, there's really nothing. So just watch those and then come check us out and then find out how they made everything. And then
Yeah.
also my buddy Chris that was just on, me and him started a Star Trek podcast called Trek Exploration. And we are right now we're covering Strange New World season 1 and 2. Because we are official nerds now, we have Star Trek screeners. So we're already starting to. We already recorded season 3, episode 1, with a special guest, Allison Pregler from Movie Nights, and Allison Pregler on YouTube. Hegemony Part 2, which is crazy with Gorn and. But
Yeah.
yeah, I saw the first half of season 3 already, and it's amazing. So we're going to be covering that week to week, and it's going to be dropping just a few hours after the episode drops, as soon as the embargo lifts. So we're excited
Yeah.
to cover Stranger Worlds. But we're talking about all Star Trek, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, playing video games. We're doing all kinds of Star Trekky stuff.
If we have
Cool.
any kind of overlapping fans that also enjoy Quantum Leap, I've told you this before some time ago that the Quantum Leap podcast was a huge inspiration and influence how I did Cobra Kai Companion. So,
Yeah, I'm very
you
thank you.
guys, yeah, you guys formed a pretty good relationship with Deborah Pratt, and I with the creators of Cobra Kai. So
It's
if you
it,
guys weren't around, like I don't know if I would have been as half as successful,
it's
in
amazing. They're
operating the
so
way I do.
nice. The people are so nice, and you just ask them, "Hey, you want to hang out? You want to come talk to us?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, great."
Yeah.
You know, so
That's pretty much it.
it's good
And
people.
Mikey, you'll be on for more things. If you could think of, I don't know who else might we be able to try to reach out, to celebrate things just for shits and giggles and see if they'll show up.
Sure.
So,
I'll come up with
um,
more
if you
ideas.
guys enjoyed this discussion, Mikey did join me. I don't know if I put it on Paul Nostalgic, but at least look it up on Cobra Kai Companion, where there's an episode, something like Peter and Mikey go to Hollywood or something like that, where we talked about driving all around California in the DeLorean, kind of sharing that
Oh yeah.
experience too. So there's a recap of that on the interweb. So
I want to see
uh,
that.
yeah, so yeah, I guess that's gonna do it. Thank you guys for tuning in to this big episode. Happy 40th to Back to the Future. Um, and that's all I got. I'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.